Hi folks, in this video we're going to go quickly through how to predict the probabilities of different offspring from a cross. So we're going to start with a cross or a mating. This is going to be two individuals having offspring kids. In this case, I had to choose something, so I'm going to choose a couple parents and involving fur type. So here are two parents, and I'm stating that the phenotype, the actual result, is grizzly fur, whatever that means. And both of the parents have grizzly fur, and both, as you can see, are heterozygous. They have two alleles that are different, one that would indicate grizzly and one that it would indicate soft fur. But because grizzly is dominant, they have grizzly fur. Okay, so how can you predict their offspring? I'm going to walk you through a few different ways of thinking about this, and you can choose whatever's easiest for you. Now, one way is just to take all the different combinations of alleles from the two parents. Okay, remember you have to take one allele from each parent to make a kid. So here's one possibility. You take both big G's, one from each parent. You take the little g from the first parent, the big G from the second parent. You take the little g from one parent, big G from the other. You take the little g from both. These are just the different combos, okay? So nothing special here. In reality, if you look at this, this is going to be incredibly simple to something you've done in math class and algebra, and this is FOIL. It's what you did with binomial sort of math, all right? So this is one way of doing it. I would suggest you do not do it this way. This is likely to get you in trouble in terms of how you do it. So what I'm going to walk you through is how to set up a Punnett square, which will help you do this a little more effectively. Before we do that, let's just look at the results. The results, and remember these are probabilities, not actual predictions of what's going to happen. It's not actually that the first kid will be big G, or anything like that. You'll notice that there's a 25% likelihood, 1 in 4 shot, of having a homozygous dominant kid, 2 out of 4 chance of heterozygous kid, 1 in 4 chance of homozygous recessive. And if we want to look at the phenotype probabilities, well, 3 out of the 4 are expected to be grizzly. And I don't mean 3 out of 4 children, I mean a probability here. So 75% the likelihood is 75% each kid will end up grizzly phenotype-wise. Okay. Now, if we look at the genotype probabilities, those are the ones that are on the left. Okay, so things are laid out here. You can see how to do this in sort of a brute fashion. I think there are a couple better ways of doing this. So let me walk you through what a Punnett square is. It's going to be the same thing, okay? A Punnett square is effectively the same idea. It is a chart of probabilities, not just sort of a direct sort of adding up all the combos. We're going to lay it out a little more easily. To understand where it comes from, I'm going to lay out sort of the whole cell division aspect of this. So I'm drawing meiosis for you. I want you to remember that each one of these parents has to go through meiosis to make the gametes. So here are our chromosomes. This individual happens to be heterozygous, as we've already seen. They're going to replicate their chromosomes, as you learned about in all cell division types. And then with meiosis, we're going to divide twice to form 4 haploid cells. Each one gets 1 of each chromosome type. In this case, that might mean a chromosome with a big G or a chromosome with the recessive allele, the little g. Okay, let me draw those a little bit larger so you can see them better. And with regards to making the eggs, the other parent, it's the same thing. That parent is also heterozygous, so they might have a nucleus with a chromosome with the big G or the little g. Now, to combine these sperm and eggs together, you just move them together into the boxes. So this is how to set up a straightforward Punnett square for one gene. And this is something that a lot of you have done before. So you can see that this combination of sperm and egg gets you a homozygous dominant kid. This combination gets you a heterozygous offspring, etc., and going on from there. Now, I could have written this last one, little g, big G, but we tend to put the dominant alleles first just for easier interpretation. So, why would we do this? Well, it's a little bit easier to read than the previous thing that I'd drawn out, the thing that looked like foil. On the left, we've got the egg genotypes laid out. And on the top, we've got the possible sperm genotypes. And then just to remind you, all of these things inside the green box, those are the probabilities, equal probabilities of possible offspring. So these are the genotypes of zygotes, offspring, kids, whatever you want to call them. In the end, the result is the same thing as what we did before. You're still going to end up with a 3 in 4 probability of a grizzly offspring, and a 1 in 4, or 25% probability of each kid being soft, fur. Okay, so there's one additional thing I want to add to this, is that keep in mind when you see these ratios, this can help you back calculate what the parents were. So if you get information that there's a bunch of kids from a family and you've got like 15:5 ratio of one phenotype to another, you can maybe assume that the parents were probably both heterozygous. Okay, moving on. I want to add in what happens if you're going to try to predict multiple offspring. And this is pretty straightforward when it comes to the math. If there are multiple kids involved, if you're trying to do multiple events, remember each one of those events is separate. They are not linked together. The fact that you've had 3 sons in a row doesn't mean you're going to have a daughter or something like that. Just because you've had 3 kids with one characteristic doesn't mean the 4th one has to be different. These are all independent events. So, if we're going to do an example, where both kids are going to have soft fur, with independent events, you multiply the probabilities together. So, here's the first one, here's the second one. The probability of soft, we already know is 1/4. The probability of the second kid having soft fur, also 1 in 4 possibility. Multiply them together, you get 1/16. And you can transfer that to a percentage if you'd like. If we do one more example quickly, let's say there are 2 kids again, but the first is soft, the second grizzly. That's 1/4 times 3/4. That's going to be your 3/16 probability of having those 2 kids in that order. I hope that helped, folks. Talk to you next time.